Most people think business videos are about marketing. I think that's why so many of them are forgettable. The biggest lessons that changed the way I tell business stories didn't come from marketing. They came from cinema. Whenever I watch a film, I'm not just watching what's happening, I'm paying attention to what it's making me feel and think. That's what people remember. And also I realized that I couldn't look at business videos the same way again. So let me show you the lessons I learned from cinema that completely changed the way I think about business communication and why I believe they apply to every business. I've always loved cinema, not just because of the stories, but because of the experience. Whenever I watch a film, I find myself paying attention to the little things, the moments that most people probably don't even notice. There's one film I always come back to, Nomadland. There are scenes where Fern simply sits in front of a landscape. Nothing dramatic happens. She isn't speaking, the story almost pauses. And yet, those are the moments I remember most. Not the dialogue, not the biggest scenes, just someone quietly existing in a place. I've often wondered why those moments stayed with me for so long. And I think it's because they made me feel something without trying too hard. Looking back, I realized I slowly stopped asking myself, what am I looking at? And started asking, how do I want someone to feel? That question didn't stay in cinema. It followed me into every project I worked on afterwards. Because whether someone is watching a film or discovering your business for the first time, they are still human. And people don't remember everything they see. They remember what stays with them. When I started working in documentaries, I realized something. Before you can tell someone's story, you have to understand the person. Then television taught me something completely different. Things move fast. Decisions have to be made quickly. But even under pressure, every decision still shapes the audience experience. Later, when I moved into directing, I realized those weren't separate lessons at all. They were all pointing to the same idea. Every creative decision influences how people feel, sometimes only by 1%. A pause, a glance, a frame, a moment of silence. Individually, they seem insignificant. Together, they change the entire experience. And that's when I stopped separating cinema from business communication. Because when you strip everything else away, they are both trying to do the same thing: help another human being care. Years later, I found myself directing the Learn, Apply, Repeat podcast. Technically, it looked nothing like cinema. Two people recording online, different countries, different cameras, different rooms. But I realized I was asking exactly the same questions. How can this conversation feel more natural? How can the audience forget these people aren't in the same room? How can the interviewer and the guest work as one? I found myself adjusting someone's eyeline by just a few degrees, changing the framing, thinking carefully about where each person was looking. Not because I wanted people to notice those decisions. Quite the opposite. I wanted them to disappear. Because every one of those decisions could either create distance or create connection. The goal was never simply to make the podcast look better. It was to make the conversation feel more human and more natural, to help the guest and the interviewer feel closer, even though they weren't in the same space. Because when the production becomes invisible, the people become visible. The guests, the interviewer, their relationship, their ideas, and that's where the connection happens. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that's exactly what every business is trying to do. Not make people admire the production, help them connect with the people behind it. I don't think cinema taught me how to make better videos. It taught me how to pay closer attention to people. And the more I've worked with businesses, the more convinced I've become that the principles aren't actually different. The principles that make us care about a character can also make us care about a business, because neither starts with a camera or an edit or marketing. They start by understanding people. I think businesses spend a lot of time asking, how do we explain what we do? And not enough time asking, how do we want people to feel when they discover us? Because that's the question cinema taught me to ask, and it's still the first question I ask before every project today. Those lessons eventually became much more than something I learned from cinema. They have become the foundation of the way I work today. And that's exactly the approach we have built at Digivate. If that way of thinking resonates with you, you'll find more about us through the How We Work page, linked in the description. And if you feel we are the right fit, there's a short form at the bottom of the page. And if you have enjoyed this conversation, I think we will also enjoy the rest of this series. Every video explores a different perspective that shaped the way I think about storytelling, communication and business.